Well, good morning, and thank you for being at the Public Safety Committee meeting this morning. Before we begin, we're going to have a moment of silence. It's been our understanding that a police officer has been shot, and we need to keep everyone, he and his family, in our thoughts and prayers. So if I could ask for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. We're going to be changing the schedule for this morning. We're going to take up item number 4 first. Then we're going to go to items 1, 2, and 3, which is a combined packet for us. And we will not be doing item 5, the update on the crime statistics. And with that, we thank Neil for being with us. And I guess, Susan, if you could begin, please.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, this is a pretty pro forma regulation change dealing with false alarms. There's a false alarms reduction unit or false alarms reduction section within the police department. And since their implementations, they've done a significant amount of work and had significant success in actually reducing the number of false alarms that the police department gets. Most of these are, as I stated, they're pro forma changes. There is one that I was wondering about, which is called a 1+ duress alarm, where people can add the number 1 to their emergency code to send out a silent alarm. And it changes that and forbids that. And I was wondering if Mr. Shorb could speak a little bit about whether or not that's expected to reduce even further the false alarms that the police get. It is important to reduce these false alarms because then it frees up police resources to deal with other types of calls. I've given an enumerated list on page 2 of all the changes. Most of them are definitional and changes where they conform them with current practice in the industry. There are no fee changes associated with this regulation, and I'm recommending approval as submitted.
Okay. Mr. Shore, please.
Good morning. Neil Shore, Director of Management and Budget Division, County Police. To speak to Mr. Farag's question about trying to make sure I'm having it correctly, the 1+ duress alarm. The reason we're prohibiting that is because we found through experience, frankly, people forget. So they simply forget in a stressful situation how to properly activate. And the concern about whether there would be a considerable change in the number of false alarms, the answer is no. What we're really doing is, with this regulation in general, is trying to follow what we would call industry accepted standards and practices to try to update our technical requirements. In this one particular, the 1+ duress alarm is one that other jurisdictions have also moved away from over time, because again, over time it's been proven that people in those situations forget about how to properly use it. And if people are not going to use it properly in those situations, our thinking is it's better off not to have it.
Okay. Is that any questions or comments from the committee? Go ahead, please.
Thank you. I guess on the false alarms themselves, I know we're trying to move through, but just in terms of the background and context, and I appreciate all the efforts to decrease them. I think those are, wonderful and proactive, and this will be certainly a positive first step. Have the manufacturers of the companies that have security systems been strong partners here? Has there been an alliance to help decrease? And what can we attribute the decline beyond policy changes and shifts to?
Well, I think, one of the things for sure that this has been an extremely successful program since its inception. Montgomery County was truly one of the pioneers in this particular program 20+ years ago. And like, for example, just as testimony to that, when you look at our actual dispatch rates, our dispatch rates are amongst the lowest in the country in terms of percentages. So, what I would say is that I think the real purpose of this revision is to really kind of update us more from the technical standpoint and to make sure that our standards are reflective of the latest industry accepted standards with regard to the technical aspects of the systems. Mm-hmm. As far as policy changes, again, really mostly technical in nature, and that's one of the reasons why we're not actually proposing any changes in fines because we believe that what we have in place is an effective deterrent. We have over 90,000 users in the county, 90,000, and that's obviously quite a large number. So as the number of users increases over time, our dispatch rates remain extremely low. So we believe that combination is testimony to the fact that the program is successful basically as it's currently running.
Okay, thank you.
I did want to ask about, on page 2, Susan, you have a number 8 on that bullet list there. It says to delete the requirement for an audible alarm, that it must automatically silence after 30 minutes.
Right.
Why, I mean, what happens after the 30 minutes? I mean, if it keeps going, what are we doing?
So again, that's in a couple of places in the reg. What we've done is we are removing language that is contained in the standard. So the standard has parameters with regard to alarm sounding and things of the like. So the thinking was let's remove the language that is redundant. So that was one of those areas. So the idea is that with the ANSI standard, when the alarm systems will have a default to that alarm setting. So in other words, it will be essentially no net change.
And is that the alarm? Who would have to know that? I mean, would the homeowner have to know that, or who's letting the educational side on this thing?
Okay. So that silence feature, and I believe it's 30-minute shut off. It's been standard for quite a period of time.
Okay.
And so essentially, we don't. If it's the will of the council to leave that in, we don't have an issue with that. I think one of the things we saw is where the existing policy is consistent with the standard. We would have no objection to leaving that specific provision in there if you want to reinforce it. That's fine with us.
And candidly, that's where I am. If somebody's, I mean, not that everybody reads every ordinance, I know that's hard to believe, but I just believe that somewhere somebody should say, oh, by the way, you should have known that you had to cut that thing off after 30 minutes.
So our rationale in this revision was, again, where the standard that we're going to was redundant with existing policy language. Our thinking was to update that policy language and just not make it redundant. In this case, we have no objection whatsoever to leaving that provision in there if that's the will of the council.
I would suggest, if the committee will go along with it, I would suggest that we leave it in, if for nothing else, just a note on the regulations, that if anybody's reading it, that they could say that you have to cut it off within 30 minutes as per ANSI, whatever it is, requirements. But I just think there should be some sort of extra notice on that. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with that?
Definitely.
Okay. Anything else from the committee? No? Thank you very much, Neil.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Do we actually need a vote, or what do we need here?
I need a vote to recommend approval to the council. It's tentatively scheduled for October 29th for action.
It's been moved. Would you be kind enough to second it? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. It's a 3-0. Thank you very much, and thank you, Neil. All right. Next, we have Consumer Affairs. If they could please join us. Good morning, Eric and associates. Susan, would you like to lead us off, please? And then we'll have the panel explain to us who they are, please.
Sure. This packet's combining 3 different regulation changes. I just was trying to save some paper doing that. The first one is probably the most important one, which is Regulation 19-19 that deals with trespass towing. Every 2 years, the Office of Consumer Protection reviews the towing rates that are set in the county and determines, based on several different types of data input, whether or not to change or increase those fees. And this one is actually going to increase fees, but it's also combining some different charges. They used to have an itemized list where you could be charged for the tow, for the mileage to wherever the impound lot was, and then storage overnight. So I was wondering if Consumer Protection could walk through their rationale as far as asking for this increase.
Thank you very much. Eric, if you could please explain who you are and the people with you, please.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. To my left is Investigator Doug Numbers, who's our number one go-to investigator with regard to all towing issues. And to my
Was
right,
that a play on words, numbers one? Yeah, okay.
he's been dealing with this for probably close to the 30 years that we've been enforcing the statute. And my right is our administrator, Tracy Rezvani, who supervises all of our investigators. And just to note for the record, since we're following up on the false alarms, just interesting to note that the false alarm reduction unit was actually initially based in the Consumer Affairs Office way back when.
Wow.
And that function got transferred over to police. So just interesting to note that. And I realize that these executive regulations for towing may not seem too exciting, but there really is never a dull moment when it comes to non-consensual towing. Just to put it in perspective, as Susan Farag said, there are 3 executive regulations before the committee. Really, just the first one makes any change to law. The other 2 would really just clean up that, as Susan said, to save paper. We did at the same time. Executive Regulation 19-19 would adjust the rates in the rate structure. And just for background, the current rates are determined by 3 components. The first is the fee for hooking up the car. The second is for towing the car, the actual number of mileage that you tow it from wherever it's towed from to the impoundment lot. And then the third component was a storage fee, depending upon how long the vehicle stays there before the rightful owner comes back. And in reviewing the rates, what's before you is proposed changing the rates, but also changing it to a flat rate structure. Sometimes we have experienced complaints regarding disputes over how many miles the car was towed or whether it was towed the shortest distance from where it was to the impoundment lot. We thought it best to adjust that to at least alleviate that potential problem. And just to remind the committee that the county executive must set what's called fair and reasonable rates. These are considered the maximum rates. And as you can imagine, the maximum always becomes the minimum. Nobody charges anything less than that. It's a difficult balancing act to come up with these numbers, but what Doug did, and he can speak to it, if you look on Circle 14, he did a towing rate review of 10 local jurisdictions, and just to get a comparison and see how it compares to Fairfax, Arlington, Alexandria, Falls Church, Howard County, and several others. And then in addition to it, Doug conducted a separate survey, which is on Circle 17, which really is very interesting because it compares these towing rates to what the towing company charges if you or I were just to call them for what's called a consumer requested tow. So that is when our vehicle breaks down, we would shop around and we would call and say how much will it cost to tow it. And you will find, interestingly enough, that what they charge is always less than what Montgomery County sets as the rate. Again, when it's these kinds of tows, you're being towed against your will. You did not consent for the tow. You didn't shop around and you didn't choose the tower either. So these are a forced cost. So it's always interesting, as you can imagine, towers always expect or think that the county should change the rates every 2 years and change them for the higher. But what we closely look at is how much the market bears in terms of what they charge when you or I call them and say, can you please come and tow my car? And you'll see from that chart, and Doug can explain it a little bit further. So we think that these are fair and reasonable. And then the other 2 executive regs, 20 and 21, 20 is just reflecting the fact that we had a maximum tow rate for a service that's no longer legal in Montgomery County. It hasn't been used in many years either, and that's called booting. And so nobody does booting anymore. The law was changed back in 2015 when Councilmember Roger Berliner took the lead in changing the statute. So there is no booting, so it didn't make any sense to have a maximum fee for booting when there is no booting. And so 20-19 cleans that up, and 21-19 just changes a numbering. The statute reflected a number that had been changed, so it just cleans that up and doesn't have any other effect.
And the booting, I'm assuming, would have been done by the government anyhow. The private the private property owner couldn't boot a car, could they?
Yes, they could.
Really?
We actually passed a law, I want to say it was in the early 90s. We had somebody come up, the Boot King of Virginia was what the guy was known.
Boot King.
And he wanted to boot in Montgomery County and started to on private lots. Now, we always thought it was, ridiculous. If somebody's trespassing on your lot and
Why do you want to keep them there?
you want their car, why would you want to keep them there?
Yeah.
And we started getting complaints, and because they were charging like $250 to get a boot off of your car. So back then, the council was also getting complaints, so back then, we amended 30C to put in a booting cap, so that it was capped at $50 and all, but nobody did it after that. He left town, he said, "You gotta ruin my business," he left town, and I don't know of anybody who was, doing any private property booting since that time, and since nobody was really doing it, and when Mr. Berliner ended the law, we said, let's just get rid of this. It doesn't seem like logical to
Makes
begin
sense.
with, so we removed it from 30C, but the regulation was still on the books, so we get rid of the regulation as well that capped the fee.
Right. Okay, and you were going to add something else, I think. Yeah, please.
Basically, what I did was what we've done over the years is I do a review of the local towing rates for local jurisdictions, but I also do a survey of anybody, we didn't attach the entire chart, but we did a survey of any other jurisdiction I could find in the country that regulates trespass towing and sets rates and everything like that. So we look at everywhere from here to California and trying to find anybody that regulates trespass towing and look at the rates that they do. I also examine the police rates, as the police have a built-in rate hike, I guess, per se. They have a rate, every year, and they do it based on the CPI. So I also did a review of the CPI and indexes from 2011, which was the last time we changed it, until now. And basically, it wouldn't have been much of an increase based on those rates and all and everything. And we did a survey of the consumer. We have like 60 licensed tow companies in the county, and we surveyed 30 of them, who also do consumer requested tows plus trespass tows, the police tows. Most of them do any kind of towing, and we surveyed them, and that's also in the packet. And you will see their rates are mainly much lower than what we give for trespass towing currently and all and everything. So, the average out of those, I believe, was somewhere in the neighborhood of $87 and a mileage rate of $4 per mile. For a consumer requested type tow, like a breakdown tow on the Beltway or at your house. The other, so based on the CPI, if the average tow in the county was roughly $156 under the current rates, based on the CPI, if we had adjusted it over the years for that, it would have taken the average tow to $166. So the council in 2015, when we amended the law, we've always had complaints from people about the mileage. We in the recent years, we called them the Mapquest complaints, as people would say, I Mapquested it and it's, only 4 miles and they charged me 6. And what most people don't understand is a tow truck with a car in the back may not be able to go down a side street. It may be over the weight limit, so they have to really stick to main roads. So sometimes, and I also found we're the only jurisdiction in the country that ever gave mileage. When I look back at the history of stuff, we were the only jurisdiction that ever gave mileage. So when we amended the law, we decided to amend it in 2015 to allow the county to go to a flat rate. So we figured that would be easier, simpler. It's X amount, for the tow and the storage and the travel to the lot for the first day. And so what I did was look at all the other jurisdictions, and we came up with numbers that were similar. Like Virginia is $150 currently, and that's what we set ours at as well, and we increased the mileage a little bit. So that's where we are at that point.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions from the committee? No? Anything else, Susan?
No, just as stated, the other two are pro forma changes. There really have been no impact, and we're recommending approval. These are tentatively scheduled again for going before council on October 29th.
Very good. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. I have a feeling that passed unanimously. Thank you very much for being with us. We are adjourned.